Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta GLI. Up front is a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Jetta GLI for two reasons. First of all, it's been a couple of years since I've driven this generation of GLI. However, earlier this year I actually drove the previous generation, and so we're going to be doing a little bit of comparing and contrasting to the 2016 to the 2019. But the second reason is the fact that it's manual. In the current lineup, the GLI is the only manual Volkswagen sold in the United States anymore. I think these are really good performance sedans, and I'm excited to get into that here with you today. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that turbocharged inline 4 under the hood. Well, it makes 228 horsepower from the factory. Now, I say from the factory because most of these cars are modified in a way with a tune and things like that. So if you're looking to buy one, or if your buddy has one that has a tune, whatever, blah, 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 it might be making more, it might be making less. Now, this particular car has an exhaust and intake, but that doesn't really bump the power all that much, so it's basically factory power. These power plants are very good. They're still used today by Volkswagen in several different applications, so I actually trust these engines, especially in their stock format. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual. Now, you could have gotten a 7-speed dual clutch. This is the 6-speed manual, and it is pretty good. My only beef with this drivetrain setup is the clutch. The clutch is very, very numb, and it just doesn't offer you a whole lot of feedback or feeling when engaging and disengaging. I like a very communicative clutch. I want to know what it's doing, what it's thinking, what it had for breakfast, and I just don't quite get that here in the GLI. Now, this has been my complaint with this generation of GLI since they came out, and that's still an issue here. But the actual transmission itself, the 6-speed, I think is geared really, really well. It's fun enough around town, but also doesn't beat you up on the highway. The shifter throw into gear feels nice, feels wonderful. So it is just that clutch that sort of sours me on the experience a little bit, but I'm also driving a stick shift. I'm driving with 3 pedals. I'm shifting with my right arm. And that in today's market is hard enough to find, so I'm not going to let the clutch ruin the experience. Last but not least, of course, the GLI is front-wheel drive. They never did like a Jetta R where they introduced all-wheel drive like they did with the Golf. How does it feel to drive the Jetta GLI from 2019? It's actually very, very good. It's a smooth, fun driving experience. Even with the aftermarket suspension that the owners put on, it still has a very nice ride quality. And I've always praised the Jetta GLI over the Civic Si for being a little bit more of an adult-feeling automobile and not beating me up nearly as much on a back road. I can cruise. Here we're, in Indiana, and it's comfortable. I could do this all day long, and I'm not being punished for taking my fun car out on a back road. And yet, I can chuck it down into third, give it some power, and I'm having fun, but my back isn't paying the bill at the end of the night. That's a very nice spot to be in, and something that the Civic Si can't really do as well, and especially like the GR Corolla or GR86, Subaru BRZ, those vehicles are very, very punishing for daily duty. This isn't, and so it is the owner's daily driver, and it makes sense as to why. Oh man, the turbo noise is there. It's not super loud. The intake definitely helps, but it just reminds you that, you're having fun. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mostly digital gauge cluster. To the left and right, we have physical coolant and fuel gauges, but the center is digital. I like it. It works well. You can kind of customize it with your personal settings and switch the colors, which is nice to see. On the steering wheel on the left, we have our adaptive cruise control settings, as well as our volume. And off to the right, we have our skip track, selectors, view buttons, things like that. The overall steering wheel is nice and thin. It's very sporty feeling, which is very, very good. Off to the left, we have a climate control vent and our headlight switch, and moving on to the door, we have lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, one of the owner's complaints with this vehicle is that the speakers from the factory are not very good. This is not a very nice sound system. It's not a premium audio system, so that is a downside. However, we do have a nice backup camera, and of course, speakers can always be upgraded after the fact. Down below, we have 2 climate control vents and the hazard switch. We have our climate controls. We get dual zone climate, which is very, very nice to see. Auto, fan speed. We get heated and ventilated seats. Again, a lot more livability options found here. The Civic Si, even in 2026, does not offer ventilated seats. So, very, very nice. Then we do have a USB-A, we have a 12-volt outlet, and moving into the center stack, we have the engine start-stop off to the left, as well as the power parking brake and drive mode, of which we have Eco, Normal, Sport, and Custom. To the right, we have a 12-volt outlet and traction control off, and then, of course, the shifter in the center. This is an aftermarket shifter, so this is not the factory standard equipment. And then we have cup holders. So we'll do a big friggin' bottle test. It fails, and no one on planet Earth is surprised. We get a little center console in the seats. The seats are heated, ventilated, power, and memory. Fantastic options here for a fun vehicle. Absolutely adore that. And for a bigger guy like me, I fit, it works well, and I'm very, very happy to see all of that. However, speaking of seats, one of the claims to fame is that the GLI is a little bit bigger and it offers a back seat, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting in the back of the 2019 Volkswagen Jetta GLI. Stepping in here, nice and casual, and there you go. Closing the door up. This is a comfortable place to be in. I'm 5'11", not a small guy. This is my driving position, and I actually have knee room in between my legs and the seat in front of me. The Jetta isn't a huge vehicle. It's based off an economy car that's not anything special. However, this is way more space than what you would find in the back of a Golf GTI. So, something to note there, if space is important, this is the way to go. As I mentioned, 5'11", not a small guy. I fit in here pretty well. My head, my hat is like barely touching the ceiling, but that's bigger than my actual head, surprisingly. And so I fit back here very comfortably. If you are in between a Jetta GLI or a Golf GTI and space is an issue, you have nieces or nephews that come into town, this is just going to be the more comfortable option, not only up front with driving dynamics, and we talked about that, but also just in back space. If you need more space, but you want that fun, punchy drivetrain, this was the way to go, and it's still kind of the way to go. So that's really nice to see. I fit great, and that's not always a given in sport sedans. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, opening up the trunk down here, and there you go. That is the rear trunk of the Jetta GLI. Nothing really too crazy, but again, this is a lot more practical than the GTI. So, huge props here for the GLI. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I do like the look of the GLI. I'm not the biggest fan of the black color, just because I think it does show blemishes a lot, and you kind of lose some of the great styling and detail that this generation of GLI had. However, I do think it's a little bit more subtle. I like the look of this more than the current generation, and I think it's just done a little bit better, especially given the GLI badges on the doors. In the new GLI, or on the new GLI, the badge is just out in the middle of nowhere and it's really ugly, so I like how it looks here on the 2019. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta GLI? Well, I really enjoy this experience. Honestly, the only downside that I've truly experienced has been the clutch. It's just a little bit more numb than I would think, and it sounds like I'm harping on it. I'm not meaning to. It just doesn't feel what I would want it to feel, but again, it's a manual, and I'm just happy to have that alone. This car is comfortable and yet very fun to drive. It's great to row through the gears. Backwoods here, just outside of Purdue University in Indiana. These back roads are great, and I'm enjoying them. I'm chucking this car through gears. I'm revving it up. I'm letting it simmer down. It's a very fun conversational driving experience. It's back and forth. It's very human almost. And yet I can have that fun experience. I can have those fun memories. I can enjoy back roads without beating myself up. As I mentioned, I have heated and ventilated seats, dual zone climate, Apple CarPlay, digital gauge clusters. It feels very modern in here, and it feels grown up while also offering that driving feel. And so that's where vehicles like the Civic Si start to fall short, is that those really feel like, boy, racer, you made a compromise. This car doesn't feel like I had to settle for one way or another. This car doesn't feel like I had to say, oh, I wanted the sporty car, so that means I'm gonna pack a bottle of Advil and a bottle of water everywhere I go so the back pain doesn't catch up to me, like I do when I drive a Miata. When I've had Miatas, even new Miatas, I love them to death. They're fantastic, but when you get out, it is a leg workout, it's an arm workout, it's a body workout because of how tight and confined that car is and how rough the suspension is. You don't have those issues here. This feels like a more elevated sports sedan experience than what you would find in a dedicated sports car. Now, comparing it to the 2016 that I just drove, honestly, they're pretty on par with one another. This one is manual, that one was automatic, so I can't really comment on the transmissions, but they feel pretty much the same, and this just is a more modern version of that, a more modern counterpart. So you're gonna have nicer features, nicer materials, and you could find these with lower miles. And so at the end of the day, the 2019 Volkswagen Jetta GLI is a sports sedan with virtually invisible downsides. It is such a joy, such a pleasure, and I love this so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Chad for letting me borrow his Volkswagen Jetta GLI for today's video. He's been wonderful to work with. I appreciate him meeting me here on a chilly Indiana morning to let me film his GLI. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.